Hello there. Welcome back to the booth here at Pro Tour Magic Origins. Randy Buehler, Ian Duke, Marshall Sutcliffe, all three of us excited and honored to bring you the final round of action here from Vancouver. Let's head down to the feature match area. Hello and welcome to coverage of Pro Tour Magic Origins. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Randy Buehler and Ian Duke, and we have reached the final round of Swiss play here in Vancouver. Deep breath, gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a lot on the line in the feature match area this round for these two players and the others. This is Bryan Gottlieb you're taking a look at there. He's got a smile on his face, which I admire given that his nerves have probably got to be creeping up on him at this point. He is paired up against Mike Sigrist, both players from the United States.
Yep.
And a lot on the line here, Randy.
This is a win and in. There were 6 intentional draws, tables 1, 2, and 3. The winner of table 4 and the winner of table 5 are probably going to make this top 8. They have a 2.5% point lead on Rich Hoen and Takahiro Fujimoto, so we're just going to call this a win and in. Overcoming a 2% gap is very unlikely to happen. Mike Sigrist controls his own destiny for everything, making the top 8, winning the Pro Tour, being the player of the year, and getting the captaincy for Team USA. Step 1,
that is a lot on his plate for one match of Magic to unlock the possibilities there.
Well, he's already running with scissors.
Oh, no. So right away, he's got a Springleaf Drum and an Soul Artifact on it. Ian, this is a big part of what his deck is trying to do.
Yeah, certainly a nightmare start from Bryan Gottlieb's perspective. One thing is nice here, though, is that Ensoul Artifact isn't on a flying artifact. From the Abzan Reli's deck's perspective, it can produce a whole bunch of disposable chump blockers on the ground, but can't deal well with something like an Ornithopter with Ensoul Artifact. So it's not as dire of a situation as it could be, although he's still under the gun to come up with some answers pretty quickly.
Now, we've seen this matchup once already, and it was not good for Abzan Rally. The blue-red artifact deck, I mean, Bryan Gottlieb, we've also seen Z Malshowitz playing this deck. Abzan Rally's good, but it struggles with the super fast decks like the red aggro and like the blue-red artifact deck.
Now, this is one of the things that we're going to see, going back to what you pointed out, Randy, about, or I think it was you actually, Ian, the fact that this is Ensoul Artifact not on a flyer, right, is that there are a lot of disposable creatures that Bryan Gottlieb can produce to chump block that 5-power attacker repeatedly here, and we see one of them with the Satyr Wayfinder.
Yeah, interestingly, is that a...
It's an Elvish Mystic, not a Caustic Caterpillar.
Okay, I was wondering. I was like, Caustic Caterpillar, it seems a little fishy for the main deck here. But we got that corrected for you folks at home.
While we're here, by the way, the other winning in this round, which is also in our feature match area, and I'm sure we'll be looking in a lot, is Yoel Larsson versus Valentin Mackel.
Yeah, now Valentin Mackel's on 11, 3, and 1.
Yeah, so his is 100%, no tiebreakers required. Yoel Larsson has the best breakers, so that's an even cleaner winning in. It's pretty much these two matches for the last 2 spots in the top 8.
Oh, man.
Deathmiss Raptor, a nice play here from Bryan Gottlieb, threatening to block that 5/5 Springleaf Drum.
However,
so it doesn't come in.
Whirler Rogue makes blocking a little tricky.
Blocking is going to be a problem now.
Siggy's a limited player, right?
He
limited
is.
Superstar Mike Sigrist.
He probably first picked that exact Whirler Rogue, and now he's going to tap some artifacts to get in for 5 more. Bryan Gottlieb drops to 8. This could be a quick first game. Ian, do you have any sense for what it would take to get Bryan out of this situation?
It's a really tough situation. This Abzan Rally deck is super busy in terms of its combo-oriented pieces, so it's chock full of creatures. Of course, it has Rally the Ancestors and Collected Company as well, and that does not leave a lot of room for answer cards like Hero's Downfall, for example, not present in the deck list here, at least the main list. So I don't see a ton that he can put together to deal with the unblockability, really, is what's giving him the trouble here. I mean, he's got Merciless Executioners and the like, but with Sigrist having so many chump sacrifice targets, it's going to be a really tough situation for Bryan Gottlieb.
Oh, geez, there's a Shrapnel Blast in Sigrist's hand?
Yeah, that's why Sigrist looks so like, okay, let's just get this over with, because, you know, he could actually get Gottlieb down to 1 as the board sits anyway, but he doesn't need to. Gottlieb's going to think about it for a while, play a land, but Shrapnel Blast, we have seen that card finish off many a player in the feature match area. Huge hits of damage that this blue-red artifact deck does.
Yeah, Bryan Gottlieb has to basically assume Siggy has nothing and stitch together a plan that gives him a chance.
Yeah, he's dead in 2 turns as it sits. So here's Deathmist Raptor hitting the red zone, dropping Sigrist down to 15.
And taking a look at Bryan Gottlieb's hand, I mean, he wants to try to stitch together some sort of big Rally the Ancestors turn. He's got to do it in a hurry.
Yep. Rally for 3 is usually the key number. He can get to rally for 3 next turn in theory.
Yeah, but Siggy's just going to show him the Shrapnel Blast here. And that should do it. Right now, Bryan Gottlieb is completely tapped out here.
Oh.
You know, he might not even need to show him the
Shrapnel
Shrapnel Blast here. Yeah, he doesn't. He's going to give that thing unblockable and attack for 2, 4, 5 plus 6. That's 11 right there. And that's going to do it. Mike Sigrist, in decisive fashion, takes down game 1 against Bryan Gottlieb and moves 1 step closer to a top 8 bid here in Vancouver.
Did you see Eric Froelich look over? Who won that game?
Who won that game?
Sigrist
We'll
won.
be right back after these messages.
Qualify for the next Pro Tour on Magic Online. Go 5-0 or 4-1 in one of 10 preliminaries to advance to the finals. See the full schedule at mtgo.com. Put your game to the test at a Grand Prix. These open tournaments feature the best players in your region as well as top Magic pros from around the world. Upcoming Grand Prix events include Hong Kong, San Diego, London, Detroit, Santiago, and Prague. Visit magic.wizards.com/Grand Prix for a complete schedule.
All right, let's take a look at our back table there where we have Joel Larsson
Haven't
playing
really
against
seen
Valentin Mockel.
haven't seen Valentin Mockel on camera yet. He's playing Jeskai.
He is indeed playing Jeskai. Larsson is playing mono red here. And it looks like they've had a pretty drawn out game 1 here with Joel Larsson down to 6 life, but a full graveyard.
6 apiece now. Yeah, Larsson with a similar red deck. He's not Ultra Pro, but a lot of the European teams came to the same conclusion about bringing the beats.
Oh no, here's Exquisite Firecraft. That's not going to be counterable.
3 prowess triggers.
And this is a lethal attack, and we got here just in time to see a fist pump from Larsson,
Indeed.
though that is not the match. That is game 1.
Yeah, that is winning the long game. When you win a game that long with a mono red deck, you're pretty happy about it.
Yeah. And why shouldn't he be happy? He is 1 step closer to another Pro Tour top 8 here. All right, let's take a look at our back table where we have one of the stories of the tournament here,
put him in the
Eric
feature match
Froelich.
area, right?
Yeah, for sure. He is not playing. His tiebreakers just aren't good enough, right?
He
started
like 16th right
3
now.
in the tournament.
But if he wins this match, not only does he get 5 pro points, which forces Mike Sigrist to win the Pro Tour in order to pass him, he gets Pro Tour top 16 number, what, 10?
10, 11? Yeah. Unbelievable.
From 03, he
From
could put up a
03.
top 16. It's almost perfect for his Hall of Fame weekend, right? Of course he's going to finish in the top 16.
Now,
He
Mark
lives
Tobias,
there.
his opponent here,
Uh-oh.
is on Jeskai. He's from Germany.
Lightning strike, lightning strike.
Yep, that was end of turn Jeskai Charm, I think, into double Lightning Strike.
All right, so Mark Tobias is actually going to pick up the first game here against Eric. And we've got game. Rich Hoen versus Takahiro Fujimoto are still going on
Looks
in our
like
feature match area too. But our 2 main winning in matches are our primary match, which is the Bryan Gottlieb versus Mike Sigrist match, and then the other that we just caught the end of a moment ago, which is Joel Larsson versus Valentin Mockel.
Looks like Siggy's taking a mulligan on the front table.
All right, well, why don't we just take a look at Rich Hoen and Fujimoto here.
Yeah, this is almost certainly win in 9th.
By the way, Fujimoto's on goblins here,
yeah.
guys.
Yeah, I saw him losing last round.
So which wins? Which red deck is better? Is the question here.
That is an interesting question. I think it depends how many Dragon Fodders and Hordling Outbursts you get.
Well, it looks like Fujimoto has found plenty of them. You know, these 1/1 goblins are a pain on the ground for the mono-red deck to get through.
Yeah, and certainly this isn't the same type of mirror match, mono-red mirror match, as we saw earlier between Rich Hoen and Sam Black.
Right.
What are the main differences?
Mike Flores and Sam Black, where in the mirror match they sideboarded into a very control-oriented plan.
All right, let's head back to the main table where we have Bryan Gottlieb facing off against Mike Sigrist here in Game 2. Sigrist won Game 1 in decisive fashion thanks to Ensoul Artifact and ultimately a Whirler Rogue to get the creature through. Can he close out and make his second Pro Tour top 8 and keep his dreams alive for everything?
Can't take Hall of Fame away from Eric Froelich, but he can take everything else.
Eric doing an admirable job of making this as difficult on Siggy as possible, but Siggy will not go away. Mike Sigrist, fight here. He's a game away from a top 8. He named Nantuko Husk.
It's a pretty good name.
That,
pretty
of course,
straightforward,
is
but
one of the
very
key
impactful
combo pieces for the deck that Bryan Gottlieb is playing here, though we will note it starts a lot slower here for Mike Sigrist. He did have the turn 1 Ghostfire Blade, but did not put Ensoul Artifact on it turn 2 this time. And here's Liliana, Heretical Healer for Gottlieb, looking to equalize against Mike Sigrist. Gottlieb is a big-time up-and-coming player. He has a super impressive match win rate in a relatively small sample of Grand Prix. He's played about 12. But his match win percentage is just north of 70%.
Revoker picks up a Ghostfire Blade. Pretty cheap.
He's going to name Liliana
name?
Defiant Necromancer. Can I read that? Wanted to make sure he named the right Liliana. So a pair of Phyrexian Revokers, keeping Bryan Gottlieb's plays at bay potentially, and maybe even getting in for some damage here.
Cards in 3.
Gottlieb's from New York. Sigrist is from the New England area, I believe. All right, so here is Liliana. She's got lifelink, and she's going to hit to equal things up to 18 apiece. And this game looks like it's going to go for a little while. This is not the explosive start that Sigrist had in Game 1. He's going to play Grim Haruspex, card we really haven't seen in Standard at all yet, Ian. Also an Elvish Mystic. What do you make of the Haruspex in this deck?
Really important piece of the combo in this deck, allowing you to draw a card whenever a creature dies that you control. And of course, this deck is all about sacrificing its own creatures, things like Nantuko Husk, Fleshbag Marauder. Kind of goes very well alongside Liliana. Those cards want the same things in the same deck. And just provides you the card advantage engine that you need to find your copies of Rally the Ancestors.
All right, here's a Whirler Rogue, though, right on time for Mike Sigrist, turn 4, which means he is going to be able to get, well, he can get both of them through. 1, 2, 1. No, he can't quite get both of them through. He can tap the equipment there, the Ghostfire Blade, plus one of the Thopters to give his Phyrexian Revoker unblockable. He's going to tap the other one, though, and get in for 4 damage here, dropping Gottlieb down to 18. So tick-tock.
Now, Bryan Gottlieb has been sitting on a copy of Drown in Sorrow, and this might be the turn where we see him employ that.
Now, how does that combo with the Haruspex?
So any creature that dies at the same time as the Haruspex does, he'll get to draw a card off of.
So in this case, he would get to draw 1 card off of the Elvish Mystic.
That's right, Marshall.
And this flips Liliana. Which Revoker is wearing the Ghostfire Blade? The Nantuko Husk one?
The Husk one, yeah.
That's what I thought. So he actually does get to use Liliana if he drowns away the other one.
That's right.
Cards.
Seems like it's time to pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, it also kills both Thopters and the Whirler Rogue, leaving just that 1 Revoker behind. versus a Liliana. He gets to scry one as well to try to maximize that draw step he's going to get. Okay, Drown in Sorrow from Bryan Gottlieb.
And
This
note
is-
that he has a
he's-
follow-up Fleshbag Marauder here too, so he can take out that remaining Phyrexian Revoker.
Did he not scry? No, he didn't scry.
Yeah.
It hasn't.
I guess I have to reveal.
No, the scry's part of resolving the Drown in Sorrow. Oh,
Yeah,
all
he
right,
was still
he-
resolving. It's in the middle of the table.
well, okay.
It's just a little bit of what we call out of order sequencing.
Yeah,
In tournament Magic, it's quite normal under the rules.
it does happen a lot of times, yeah. Okay, so he puts that card on the bottom, gets the zombie from Liliana, transforms Liliana. She's on 3.
And ticking up would be pretty powerful here. Sigrist with a second copy of Ghostfire Blade and a Shrapnel Blast in his hand.
So taking one of those cards away be pretty huge. But it's going to be Fleshbag Marauder to kill the Revoker.
Plus.
And yes, he is going to tick up Liliana.
Now, one nitpick here, it may have been a little more effective if he ticked up first. Because
Rather than give
Sigrist,
Siggy the information.
yeah, Sigrist may have held on to the second Ghostfire Blade, thinking he would still have a creature on the battlefield.
And we'll see if it costs Bryan Gottlieb. He passes the turn back to Sigrist, but Sigrist's board looked a lot better
Oh, yeah.
when he passed the turn. He's lost all of his creatures here.
Yeah, this is an exciting game. A lot on the line for these players
Yeah,
here, too.
and he is going to have to use up the Shrapnel Blast to take out Liliana. And the board is now Zombie versus Ghostfire Blade. So
Plus,
who's going to be the
Bryan
first
Gottlieb
one?
has a Dent Protector in his hand.
Oh, geez.
To Siggy's nothing.
Attack down to 13 for Gottlieb, looking to equalize this match. And try to get it his first Pro Tour top 8. Sigrist has been there before, and he wants to get back.
Now, there's a lot of things Den Protector could get back here, but I wouldn't be surprised if we just see him leave it face down. If Sigrist were to top deck something like a Whirler Rogue, he might want to have access to the Drown in Sorrow again. Then again, he may just get back Liliana and try to be a little bit more proactive. It's actually a really interesting decision.
Yeah, it looks like he's thinking hard about it too, as Gottlieb.
I think it's totally defensible to just leave the Den Protector face down and keep your options open. So this game has really swung in your favor, and I think just keeping the toolbox to your graveyard could be great.
Yeah, it doesn't change his clock. As long as he flips up the Den Protector, at some point he can kill Sigrist in 3 turns here. He could go 4-8, flip it up. 13. In this case, though, he does have the full 5 power up.
And it looks like he got back Liliana. Is that right, Marshall?
Yes. No more checklist card in the graveyard, so he's going to keep things rolling.
Collected Company.
There we go. He's found Satyr Wayfinder and probably Liliana, though it could also be Jace. I think this deck is playing a Jace, is it not?
I don't believe so. This is
Okay.
the version that's just Obzon
Just
colors.
Obzon. Okay, so that would be a Liliana.
Combat.
Is that burst of applause for Yo Larsson?
I do believe so. I can see Valentin Mackel
Yeah.
looks devastated in the feature match area.
That's what I see, is Valentin Mackel with his head in his hands.
Okay,
Wow.
Larsson wins 2-0. Yo Larsson from Sweden knocks out Valentin Mackel from Austria. And Larsson looks like he's in for his second Pro Tour top 8. His top 8 is getting stacked quickly.
So here we see Sigrist not out of this game just yet. A top-decked hanger-back walker pairs with the Ghostfire Blade for a 4/4. None of Bryan Gottlieb's creatures can get past it just yet.
Sigrist is at 8.
Although we could see, with Liliana coming down here, we could see just an attack into the hanger-back walker, saying I'm happy to get in some damage and lose a creature. If you block something real, my Liliana transforms.
If you block Liliana, I play another.
Looks like Reclamation Sage came out of the sideboard for Bryan Gottlieb. Not super effective against the hanger-back walker, since I don't think he wants to make some flying Thopters right now. They're a lot more difficult to deal with.
No. You could take out the Ghostfire Blade and shrink that thing down to size. It would mean that his Den Protector would get in for damage no matter what. Den Protector also gets in for damage in this scenario where he does give him a pair of Thopters. Gottlieb's just going to ship the team in here.
Yeah, I guess this is fairly safe. At 14 life, he's not really worried about too many top decks. It would take some combination of like multiple Whirler Rogues in a row to really turn this game around for Sigrist, I think.
And Sigrist is on 0 cards in hand as well.
Game 2, 16. I'm gonna go to 2.
Gotlieb back up to 16 thanks to the lifelink from Liliana. And Sigrist is at 2. Top deck, and that's going to be game. Bryan Gottlieb even things up. It's not going to be that easy, Mike Sigrist. One more post-sideboarded game to decide who is going to make it into the top 8 out of these two. All right, let's jump back over, though, and see what the red versus red, though two distinctly different flavors of red, are up to. We have Rich Hoen on the red aggro deck. It's the mono red deck with a bunch of burn spells versus Takahiro Fujimoto.
Hoen won that first game, didn't he? I thought with all the goblin tokens that Fujimura had made, I didn't think Hoen was going to win that first game, but that's the report we have.
Now looking at the standings, Randy, even though these players are also 11-4, they're further down the trough on the tiebreakers. Is that correct?
2.4%.
That's a lot in tiebreakers.
That is a lot. Scorekeeper Nick Fang, he's been doing this forever. He says you basically never see 2 percentage points go away at the end of a 16-round tournament. So if the gap is more than 2 percentage points, you can start to feel like, yeah, that's why we've been billing the Sigrist match as a win and in. These guys are, 2.4% is just very unlikely to swing on just the last round of a 16-round Swiss.
All right, we have a pretty firework turn here for Rich Hoen. He clears away all but one goblin and gets in for a bunch of damage with his 2 prowess creatures, too. Fujimoto just took 5 damage that turn.
13.
Hoen's down to 13 as well, so they're all tied up. While Hoen's tapped out, it looks like, yep, Searing Blood is going to take down Monastery Swift Spear, and there's even a follow-up play here for Fujimoto. He's got an Eidolon of the Great Revelry. So has he stabilized? That's the question. Hoen's now down to 10. And they're just going to trade these Searing Bloods, which are so swingy, clearing away attacks, triggering prowess, doing 3 damage on their own. So
Eidolon triggers.
the Eidolon triggers to drop Hoen down to 8, but Fujimoto took 3 as well. Wow, so now here's Wild Slash as well. That's 2 more plus another 4. So Fujimoto, I believe, is on 4. Also getting a report from the back table that Mark Tobias and Eric Froelich have taken a draw.
That's what I heard.
Okay.
So Rich Hoen wins.
And Hoen wins his match. So what a great PT for Rich Hoen. Close. He's going to have the same record as somebody that makes the top 8 here.
Yep. Yeah, he's probably going to finish 9th.
Now that does set him up, of course, to qualify to come back here on the Pro Tour, which is a nice hurdle to clear. But for Rich, I'm sure he was thinking bigger than that. But getting a top 16 right off the bat.
So Ifro drew, which means he gets, is that 11 points for a X4 and 1, I believe, is 11. It is confirmed. It is 11 points. So his gap to Sigrist was 13. What that does, it sets up tie scenarios.
Tie scenarios?
I think so, right? 18 to, or maybe it doesn't.
I'll let you run the numbers on that, Randy. We're underway here in the decider. Players tied at 1 game apiece. Mike Sigrist versus Bryan Gottlieb. And we are underway in the first game. Does he have it? He does.
He does, yeah.
Running with scissors. Randy said it earlier. This time the scissors are flying through the air. 5. You've got 3 turns, Bryan Gottlieb.
This is the nightmare scenario for Bryan Gottlieb. He has only 1 reclamation sage out of the sideboard as a good quality, efficient answer to this that'll come down in time.
He has a single copy of Reclamation Sage.
That's right. His other possibility is if he can sneak down a Fleshbag Marauder or Merciless Executioner before Mike Sigrist can find another creature. That's another possibility.
Yeah, Sigrist just drew a second Ornithopter, so that plan just went out the window.
Okay.
As Sigrist is sure to play around it. There it is right there already. And he's got a Springleaf Drum, and it looks like he can even get in for some more damage here. He's going to play a Ghostfire Blade and equip, and now it's 7.
Okay.
Bryan Gottlieb is down to 8 life.
So
this is turn 3.
From Bryan Gottlieb's perspective, he has 1 more sequence that can get him out of this, which is Fleshbag Marauder into another Fleshbag Marauder. He has 1 in his hand so far. However, we know Mike Sigrist has Shrapnel Blast in his hand. So if he does take that line, Sigrist will sacrifice his useless Ornithopter, attack for 7 the following turn, knocking Bryan Gottlieb to 1, and then he's within Shrapnel Blast range. So I do believe it is Reclamation Sage or bust this turn for Bryan Gottlieb.
That draw from Eric, by the way, does not set up tie scenarios.
Okay.
You can't. There's no way for Sigrist to get 24. He's either going to get 22, 18, he can get 26. So Sigrist needs second at the PT. Eric basically drew because he makes more prize money that way.
Okay, well, Sigrist needs to make the top 8 here, and he could be 1 turn away from doing just that right now.
And here it comes.
He draws his card for the turn. He shows him Shrapnel Blast, attacks, and fires it off, and Mike Sigrist defeats Bryan Gottlieb. A big sigh of relief for Sigrist,
wow.
And we have him in the top 8 looking to hunt down some Ifro.
Indeed. Barring a tiebreaker catastrophe, Mike Sigrist will take the Player of the Year race to Sunday. He's got to finish second.
Wow. He's got to get second to get Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, though, congratulations to him. This is his second Pro Tour top 8 and a great finish for Mike Sigrist. You know, he has been like a bullet to the top of a lot of people's lists as one of the best players in the world is Mike Sigrist. I know that, you know, the team that he tests with, Team Channel Fireball, he's on face-to-face. They work together. And, you know, he's considered kind of the limited guru on that team. Yeah, we saw him play some pretty great matches here as well in the constructed portion, Ian.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Just phenomenal.
Yeah, so great stuff. Randy, Sigrist, 2 Pro Tour top 8s, and, you know, he's been playing the game for a long time. You know, there was a joke going around that he's longtime player, Mike Sigrist, you know, but he's really sort of made the next level jump up.
Yeah,
it's
now
pretty
he's
crazy.
2-time top 8 competitor, Mike Sigrist.
Yeah.
You know what else he is?
What's that?
World's competitor, Mike Sigrist.
He locks in?
Whatever happens tomorrow, he's going to be at PAX. He's going to Seattle for the World Championship now.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic
that is
for him.
A fantastic result. Why don't we send it to Rich Hagan at the news desk to give us an update on all the happenings out on the tournament floor.
All right, thanks so much to Marshall, Ian and Randy there in the commentary box for that final round of Swiss. Looking out beyond the studio, I can tell you that there's still the best part of 15 minutes left on the round. And this is the round where, way down at 9 and 6, there are players playing for silver, for gold, even for platinum. So many people, you keep hearing little eddies of applause going around the building as groups of 10, 15, 20 well-wishers go, that's the result I wanted. That means my friend is going to be on tour for the next 12 months. So many huge matches going on. But of course, the top 8 is coming into focus. Now, we knew about 6 for sure going into that last round. Our best guess is that the tiebreaks of Joel Larsson by winning in his last round over Valentin Mackel and Mike Sigrist by winning over Bryan Gottlieb are the most likely two with 36 points to make it in. But that is thoroughly unofficial, and tiebreak math can be a very fickle mistress indeed. So we will find out what happens as we clock ticks down, but some players we know are in the top 8, and one of those players is waiting for us now across the studio. Here's Brian David Marshall with Australia's Paul Jackson.
Thanks, Rich. I'm here with Paul Jackson. Paul, understandably pretty excited.
Yep.
So 2 rounds ago, you were getting the big round of high fives and up on the shoulders because you had locked gold.
Yeah, pretty much.
And did you feel like, okay, all the pressure's off me, or did you know that there was still a little work to do? Is this something you were thinking about?
Yeah, a little something. The top 8, yeah, was definitely on my mind. It was good to lock up the gold and the captain, and but definitely mine was still in the mindset of getting the job done.
Okay, so you qualified for the Pro Tour. You told me in Kuala Lumpur a few years back, off and on, but really for the last year, you've been pretty steady. So obviously to get to a point where you're playing for gold, you've put up some decent finishes. What has your year been like to this point before this event?
It was pretty good. It started off in 2014 when I got GP Sydney. I won that one, and then I just chained together some wins and some points, and that got me silver, and here I am. And yeah, it's been pretty good.
So it's kind of the way it's laid out. You're like, I'm silver, I get to go to another Pro Tour, I get to keep it moving forward, and then you're here. Now I saw, there was you're Australian, there were some New Zealanders with you guys. I know there's traditionally been some rivalry where you guys go back and forth and steal each other's PTQ slots in the old days.
Yeah.
How do you guys come together to work for this event?
Well, we pretty much get together at every Australian GP because they come over. Obviously, we go to theirs, and we just we get together. We're good friends, and yeah, they qualified New Zealanders and Australians. We got together. We just tested. We're all good friends, so it was great. Yeah.
And tell us about the deck you're playing in standard that you're going to be piloting tomorrow in the top 8.
I played Green Red Devotion. We just figured it had the best win percentage. It was just really powerful. It's very proactive, and I just felt very comfortable with it. Did a lot of testing with it. So
now, is that a deck that gained anything significant from Magic Origins, or is it a deck that kind of stood pat?
Yeah, it didn't really gain that much, to be honest. It's that powerful. It didn't really need much. But a lot of other decks definitely it did, but not this one. Yeah, it's very powerful. So.
Okay. So in addition to being gold, and again, platinum's very much on the table here. You win this Pro Tour. You also have jumped into the lead, and that's locked up now. You're going to be going to the World Magic Cup as the Australian national champion.
Very exciting. Yes.
Was that something you were thinking about when you started this tournament?
It crossed my mind, obviously. First time ever going to a World, so it'd be very interesting. I've always wanted to go to a team event, like a GP, so I guess this is a good one to go to. Yeah.
A little higher stakes.
Yeah, a little bit.
What's the reaction been like? I imagine, what time is it right now in Australia?
I think it's late or more early. One of the bad ones.
But have people been texting you? Have you seen messages already from home?
Yeah, lots of love. So shout out to everyone back at home.
And then what's your plan overnight? What are you going to be doing to practice for this? For this top 8? Yeah,
definitely. Just going to be, obviously I'll find the bracket, and I'll be testing that all night and try and work out a plan and go in confident. Yeah.
All right, Paul Jackson, good luck tomorrow. Good luck at the World Magic Cup. Good luck making your way through the bracket.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Sending it back to Rich at the news desk.
Congratulations to Paul Jackson. When you play Magic competitively, you really need to focus. I know this because Paul Jackson didn't know that England are beating Australia at cricket by 2-1. Congratulations to Paul Jackson. He is in the top 8 right now of Pro Tour Magic Origins. Now, a couple of things going on here. Why don't I tell you a little bit more about some of the players who are going to be in the top 8. Kentaro Yamamoto had 34 points coming in to the show, and we talked about him as this sort of miracle 1,000,000-to-1 shot for being Player of the Year, which eventually Eric Froelich crushed out with his epic run from 03 to this last round now. But Yamamoto is a Platinum Pro, and with this, his third Pro Tour top 8, two-headed giant back in 2007, he is going to be Platinum for the second year running. So, although we don't get a chance to speak to him a great deal here on the English language coverage, if you like. So we don't know a ton about him. He's not one of the better known, the Shuhei Nakamuras, the Yuya Watanabes, the Shota Yasuokas, your Hall of Fame and likely Hall of Famers. The fact is, Yamamoto might even be the favorite coming into tomorrow. He is just tremendous. Someone who is making their second Pro Tour appearance, though, is Matt Sperling. He made the top 8 at Pro Tour Magic 2015, as did Pat Cox, so there's a rerun potentially there. Matt Sperling has been joined across the far side of the studio with our own Brian David Marshall.
Thanks, Rich. I'm sitting here with Matt. Matt, your second Pro Tour top 8. And really, this is more than your second Pro Tour top 8. This is like the third Pro Tour in a row where your Team Ultra Pro, has put forth this kind of, really this dominant finish. What's the secret to the Team Ultra Pro success?
Well, I think there's a number of things, obviously, but it's not just a coincidence that we happen to be on Team Ultra Pro. The way that we're preparing right now is really, I think, the best preparation of any team, breaking down limited, breaking down constructed. We had multiple great decks for this tournament and the last several Pro Tours as well. So, yeah, the team's in a great spot with a great roster, and I think what you saw this weekend, it's going to keep going, I think. So I'm really excited about the team.
Now, it's interesting to me, the team, because it's not, all sort of top-heavy. You see a lot of the super teams form, but you guys have been pretty democratic about bringing people onto the team who are, qualifying through other ways than necessarily being like, platinum and gold. Does that bring something to the table that you maybe don't get on a super team squad?
Yeah, so we're, part of it is geographical. Like, we've got some guys in Madison, some guys in South Florida. Rather than bring everyone together under one roof, like the Pantheon does, for example, we let people kind of do their own thing in their own location. With drafting, it's especially important because now instead of doing a draft that can get kind of inbred, the strategy starts to converge. We've got people doing draft in South Florida. They might draft very differently than the people in Madison. Then they compare notes. Our draft meetings have been just incredible. I mean, if you could be a fly on the wall in those draft meetings, your win percentage is just automatically going to gain who knows what.
That's awesome. So now, when you made it into the top 8, your second Pro Tour top 8, you've been playing Magic for a long time.
I have.
Toby Elliott came over, congratulated you. He's been judging in your area for a long time. Talk a little bit about your road from, being a younger Magic player to now as an adult having this success on the Pro Tour.
Sure. So, I started playing Magic in '94, and my first Pro Tour was in 2000. Grew up in Southern California, so Scott Larrabee, just faces that I see every few months, I've been seeing for years and years and years. Last year at the Corset Pro Tour last year, I made my first top 8. That was, kind of my breakthrough moment, and it felt great. And just, the journey really was, what keeps me coming back are the good friends I have on the tour, and then just all the competitors on the Pro Tour. Today, I've had obviously multiple matches in contention where a loss knocks you out because I was riding that 3-loss. The players I beat shook my hand and said, good luck on making top 8. Nobody hung their head. Nobody was bitter. Certainly, I just think that, the sportsmanship that I've encountered, the friends I've made, that's what keeps me coming back.
That's awesome. So tell us about the deck that you're playing. You said Team Ultra had a couple decks. We definitely saw a lot of the red deck throughout the tournament, but that's not the deck you ended up on.
Yeah, so something like 11 of us played mono red. Patrick Chapin and I played Abzan Control. If you follow Standard and you follow Patrick Chapin like many people do, you can bet on him having a tuned Abzan list. He's thought about the metagame. He's one of the best in the world at predicting the metagame and tuning a control deck to interact with that metagame favorably. So I know that when I prepare with him, if I can give him a boost, and most of the time it's playing as the adversary. So I tested a lot of games at Abzan, but he was usually playing Abzan. I was playing the opponent, but I'm learning a lot just being in that opposite seat. And then, of course, Patrick just is kind of a brilliant deck builder, one of the best of all time. I defer to him in a close decision. I try to add what I can, and I end up with a great deck that way, Abzan Control.
Okay, so now over these last couple events with Team Ultra Pro, you've been on the overnight squad, helping people play test. So you have some firsthand experience with what this will be like. What's going to happen for Team Ultra Pro? Because I mean, also Pat Cox in this top 8, also Team Ultra Pro, worth noting. What are you guys going to do in terms of preparing? Do you split up into 2 groups, and someone helps you, someone helps Pat?
Yeah, I think I'll grab a few people, Patrick Chapin obviously included, who know a thing or two
Shotgun?
about abs. Paul, and between Paul and Patrick, I'm gonna have all the Abzan control experience and tips and sideboarding that I could possibly want with just those 2 guys. Other people I know are gonna contribute. There might be testing the next match, or just in case, whatever it is. We helped Adrian Sullivan prepare. I was a part of that. It's a lot of fun at that point because everyone's just excited about Sunday, and so that's where I'm at right now.
Is there a real sense that a win for you is a win for the team, a win for Pat is a win for the team?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, I had to play against a Team Ultra Pro teammate playing for top 8. That's Rich Hoen, and he was just a great sport. I wish him best of luck in his next, maybe squeak in there to 8th and 9th. But if I need to ask him for some advice, I know he'll provide it. So I'm really excited about that.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Matt Sperling, course set specialist, sending it back to the desk, and Rich Hagon.
So I think it's fair to say that sometimes, especially when you're under the cosh, really under pressure, you're down to 1 card, you can see things slipping away. Magic can feel quite lonely at the highest level, which is why when you have a group of teammates who really care about you, not just about themselves, but about the team and team success, it is a very, very special feeling. And Matt Sperling there was super eloquent about just what it means, not for him to make the top 8, but for him to make the top 8 as part of that team. He clearly can't wait for the rest of Saturday to sit down and test, and for Pat Cox to be ready for that as well, which is just fantastic stuff there. So well done to him. Let me tell you what else we've got in the top 8. Pat Cox, as I say, he's in his 3rd Pro Tour top 8. Pro Tour Nagoya 2011 was his first go-round. And as I mentioned earlier, he is in the top 8 along with Matt Sperling from Pro Tour Magic 2015 in Portland. Stefan Berio, he's playing in his 9th Pro Tour, actually has a losing record through the first 8, 48.1% through his first 8 Pro Tour experiences. And that gives hope to all of us because, you come to your first one, you get battered. You come to your second, still don't get it quite right. 3rd and 4th, you get your feet under the table, but you start to understand that there are golds and platinums and silvers and Hall of Famers, all of whom are really good at Magic. It's really tough to get a winning record at the Pro Tour. And here he is in his 9th PT, and he has well and truly got it right. Stefan Berio, to pronounce it correctly. Sorry about that there. So that's him. Stephen Neal, I think I've got that one right. Top 8 Grand Prix Atlantic City was his route back to the Pro Tour, his 6th PT here. And then, Mike Sigrist, if he's in, he's already platinum. Could he be player of the year as well? Joel Larsson, if he's in, would be his 2nd top 8. But we have another guest waiting for us in the top 8 stakes. So why don't we throw it across the studio once more to Brian David Marshall.
All right, thanks, Rich. I'm here with Stefan Berio. Stefan, this is, you said I've been waiting for this for a long time. And I was like, yeah, you've played in about 8 PTs before this. But you pointed out that even though you played in 8 PTs, the wait is longer than that. You were waiting to get to the PT before that. How long have you been playing Magic?
I've been playing since approximately I was 13. I'm 30 now, so I'm an old man. And
Shut up.
But yeah, it's been a long journey to get here.
Okay, so talk to me about that. Getting to that first Pro Tour, then kind of having to get back there for those years. What was that process like? Did you feel like I'm never going to get to that top 8? Did that start to feel frustrating for you, or or did you always know this result was in you?
I always knew this was possible. Like, I have always dreamed about it. So the very first Pro Tour I qualified for was Boston back in, 03. It was Team Trios.
Sure.
Yeah, I qualified with Arthur Minitz and Conrad Dunker. We scrubbed out terribly. But then I got hungry again, and I qualified for San Diego. scrubbed out there terribly. And after that, I took a long break from Magic. And then I came back and didn't do so well. Then I started law school. So I took another break. And then my friend Bob Havlovic qualifies for Pro Tour Amsterdam. And he gives me a call. He's like, yo, you got to play in a Pro Tour qualifier. I'm qualified. We'll get to Amsterdam. I'll give you a deck. I'm like, man, I haven't played in 2.5, 3 years. Maybe a draft here and there, but not like the level you need to play in order to win a Pro Tour qualifier. So he hands me this Turboland deck, and I read Jace the Mind Sculptor for the first time, and I'm like, what is this? This is insane. And so I win the Pro Tour qualifier, the first one I play in, playing against Gabe Walls in the finals.
Oh, wow. That is an end boss.
Yeah, Midwest end boss for those who know who Gabe is. And since then, I've been trying to get back on the tour here and there, qualified for a couple in between, but this is my first, big breakthrough.
So what was the big difference? What happened at this event where you get into the top 8 where that hasn't happened before? Was there some kind of tangible difference in your preparation for this event?
The prep was the same, but we had a good deck this time. I'm a limited, I shouldn't say master, but I'm pretty good at limited. We have draft weekends and we...
limited undergraduate?
Sure, we could say something like that. But this time around, we had a really good deck for the Pro Tour. And it came about, I was having lunch with Armando Bolnez, who top forward with me in GP Sao Paulo, and David Gleitcher. And I'm like, what does blue-red artifacts look like? That was a deck before, and they just printed a bunch of good cards. So David, our resident deck builder, goes ahead and brews up a list. And I'm like, we play it. I start losing to it. I'm like, okay, this deck might be real. Let's try to switch out around these cards. I got some more information from this guy, Mason Lang, who's another Illinoisan. And he put me on Top Tier Engineer. He's like, this card's really good in the deck. I'm like, okay, well, let's try that. And then we got that. And so we started testing in the first week of July, so the deck is like 3.5 weeks old. And so we had like an untested deck or an unfound deck at the Pro Tour, which to me is like, that's the dream. It's like, okay, nobody's going to be prepared for this deck. Little did we know the other teams would figure it out too.
Sure.
And
you played side by side with any of those decks? Have you seen what like the big differences are from your team's build and some of the other teams' builds?
Yeah, some of them they're not playing Pia. I played Pia. They were playing only Whirler Rogue. I have a mix of both. Pia was really good for me in testing, although it's been okay for me throughout the duration of the tournament today. But just over time we worked this deck and we were able to find it, and it was great.
What are the good matchups for blue-red artifacts?
I think Abzan Control is a good matchup. I think Blue-Black Control is a good matchup. Your bad matchup is Mono-Red Burn, although I did beat a Burn deck. They didn't have the ideal build. They were playing like Fire Drinker Satyrs and Lightning Berserker, where what you need to be playing is like Zergo, Abbot of the Keep, and Monastery Swiftspear.
Sure.
So other than that, any mid-range deck and, Abzan Rally, I went 3-0 versus that deck. That's not particularly close. I mean, their guys, like Fleshbag Marauder is their removal. It's like, okay, sacrifice a stop there, sacrifice Hangerback Walker. What's up?
Yeah, sacrificing Hangerback Walker seems fantastic there.
Yeah, no problem. Let's go.
So tell me what the process is overnight. Who's going to be helping you get ready for that quarterfinal matchup? Who do you have here with you?
Team Hot Sauce Games is a team who I work with to come up with the deck, so I'm sure they're going to help me test. My homie Ian Farnung is here with me, so I'm sure he'll help me test.
I've often seen you guys in airport lounges
I was trying to think.
as we travel to GPs.
For sure, yeah, Frontera Grill, right, O'Hare. I was thinking, well, who's the last Chicagoan to make top 8 of a Pro Tour? And I think it might be Rashad with his, what's the black-red hybrid card, 5-mana, Demigod of Revenge. I think that was the last time we had it. But Chicago Magic is strong. We have a lot of good players. I feel honored to represent my city, and hopefully we win tomorrow.
Awesome. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
While I don't always root for the pizza, I will definitely root for the blue-red deck from Chicago.
Sure, I'll take it.
For Stefan Berio, this is Brian David Marshall, sending it back to the news desk.
Thanks.
Thanks very much to Brian David Marshall and Stefan Berio. Congratulations to him being in the top 8. People often ask me, they come up at tournaments, they say, why do you like watching Magic so much? Because we all love playing it, but why do you love watching it? And I draw your attention to Valentin Mackel in the last round. He ended up playing against Joel Larsson. If Valentin Mackel had won his last round, he would have been a Platinum Pro for next season. If Valentin Mackel had won his last round against Joel Larsson, he would have been in the top 8 of this Pro Tour. He would have gone to bed tonight 3 matches away from being a Pro Tour champion, from a slot at the World Championship. Valentin Mackel didn't win his last round. Joel Larsson won his last round. Joel Larsson is now sweating on the last couple of spots in the top 8. And BDM, that's why it's so great to watch, because these people are willing to put themselves on the line 2 straight days, 16 straight rounds, and then sit down for our entertainment around the world, knowing that yes, there is the possibility of great glory, but there is also the possibility of head in hands and to go away and go, it is 12 months until the end of the 2015-2016 Pro Tour season, and I will be platinum for none of it, very possibly.
You just had to look at Bryan Gottlieb's reaction as he lost to Mike Sigrist on camera. Just the overhead shot, just his head back, his hands on his temples, just the agony of defeat. It's it's a cliche for a reason.
Right.
I think it's more than just sitting here at the tournament and sitting. It's Stefan Berio, someone who's been playing Magic since he was a kid, who's always wanted to get to the Pro Tour. Once he got to the Pro Tour, has been here 8 times without having that big breakthrough moment. He's had a little success at the Grand Prix level, but to finally get that moment. Matthew Sperling, someone who's been playing since the dawn of Magic, right? He's been playing since Moxes were available in booster packs, right? And and then last year gets his big finish. This year gets another big finish. So it's amazing to me to watch people who've been at this for so long still being able to find success. Yeah, it's very, very hopeful.
Yeah, it's terrific stuff for both of them. And again, it's this, what sometimes success comes very swiftly. If you think of someone like Andre Strasky, who's had a phenomenal year, will be platinum next year, didn't quite make a run at this one, but kind of he was due not to make a run. He made one everywhere else.
Every other.
Right, exactly. But something that links Berio and Sperling is that sense of, well, actually, I've had plenty of not success, so I understand what success really means when it comes knocking.
Right, and it's also, for people out there, both Matthew Sperling and Stefan Berio, they're working lawyers. These are people who've, the idea that sort of the myth that you can't sort of, go to school and get a job and have a life and compete professionally at this game. I think the whole sort of Team Ultra Pro success story is really, put that myth to bed. I mean, obviously, it helps if all you have to do is play Magic, but it is possible to be able to play Magic, be very successful at it, and still do all these other things in your life, which is, as someone on the other side of the age spectrum, is very hopeful for me.
Yeah, and also I think it's also in the sense the history of the game. Like, we're about to embark on a new generation within Magic. This is farewell to core sets. This is goodbye to Magic Origins. It's hello to a rotation that is shorter, tighter, which means we're going to see more decks rising and falling, that those sort of mechanisms, the pacing of Magic is going to shift. But also, Magic is over 20 years old now, and no one really expects that this wonderful stuff that we call the pro scene is going to vanish in a puff of smoke like we probably all thought. You as a tournament organizer in 1996 were probably going, I wonder what I'm going to be doing in 1998.
I'd already been doing it for 3 years in 1996.
Right, exactly. But we are at a point now, maybe, where there is room in Magic for a breed of professional player that is not just the brute force 8, 10, 12 hours a day, 80 hours a week, learning everything by seeing everything, and a world where we're almost moving to a professional sports model where there are, for want of a better term, coaches, analysts, people who are, because Matt Sperling alluded to, and if you listen back to Sperling's interview, he's actually saying, you just sit still and shut up in the room full of these people, and you get better at Magic.
Mike Flores played on the team. Mike Flores has not been someone who has historically drafted well. He understands a lot of things about Magic, has never been able to sort of trip to that kind of like the rhythm of what happens in a draft. It's not been his forte.
Okay.
And he said, I take Ben Stark's orders, I do it, and he goes 5-1. So Team Ultra Pro, very successful.
I take the orders of people in my ear, and they tell me it is time for the top 8 announcement of Pro Tour Magic Origins.